Everything that God makes, the enemy tries to pervert. And marriage is no different. There are some marriages that the enemy has put together, that we have been tricked into believing that it was God when it wasn't. And those marriages are toxic. It's just no two ways about it. Those marriages are abusive, either physical, sometimes it's sexual, sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's verbal. They're always abusive, they're toxic. And when you try to apply the biblical principles to your marriage, it gets worse and it doesn't work. And there's a reason for that. It's because it's not a marriage that God put together. And you are outside of God's will by being in it. This is a channel that really focuses on divorce and helping Christian women experience freedom through divorce. But one of the things that people just kind of don't understand is God's plan for marriage to begin with. And that is usually what gets us in trouble to where we then need to get a divorce, is that we don't understand, what marriage was originally designed to be. And so that's what it was for me. It was just kind of, my life kind of had been running on autopilot, and it had just been, things had just been happening to me instead of me happening to life. And so it had gotten me to a place where I was in a bad marriage, and I was in a bad job. I was in a bad church. I was my whole life was just not submitted to the word and will of God. And so it was the beginning of, my spirit rising up and saying, something's not right. This isn't God's plan for me. And so the reason why this course is just so extremely important to me is because it is the same thing with a lot of you, is that your life has just kind of wandered to this place where you're at a crossroads, where you are realizing that, something's not right. My life has just not been going the way that I know that it should be. It hasn't been receiving the victory that it should, for someone who loves God and really, knows the promises of God. And so this is kind of the beginning of you saying, okay, God, I don't know if divorce is right for me or not. I don't even know if it's biblical, but I just know that something's not right, and that my life is playing out in a way that is not conducive to what you called me to and what you sent your son to die for me to have. And so this is just the beginning of you saying, I just need some kind of wisdom, some kind of revelation as it pertains to my life, because things just aren't going well. And I know that what I'm experiencing is not God's best for me, and I need to know why. And so the reason why this course is so important is because it's really the beginning of you asking God, why is my life the way that it is? Why is my marriage the way that it is? And what do I need to do to begin to understand how to change it? And so that's why mirror of how God intended marriage to be, where he chooses who is the perfect person for you. And so I have seen so many people teach that you can just choose whoever you feel like, as long as they're a Christian, it's fine. That is not biblical, okay? God did not create 20 women and say, Adam, choose one, okay? He didn't create 20 men and say, Eve, choose one. He created Adam and Eve, and there was no other choice. It was, you two are meant for each other, okay? And so that is the number one reason why people end up getting divorced, is that they don't understand that if God didn't bring you two together, then you're going to have to try to keep this marriage together by yourself. And you don't have that kind of power. So the number one thing to understand. And so when you're asking, why hasn't God saved my marriage? It's because he wants you to be in the marriage that he created for you. And you're sacrificing all of the fruits of the spirit that are tied to that marriage by being in this one.